Hey everybody, it's Peter. It's Sunday night, which means it's discovery time. And tonight's episode, and I seriously wish they would come up with simpler ones. This one is Vis Pacem Bellum, which basically translates into if you want peace, you have to prepare for war, which I've actually heard in quite a few, you know, military type movies, that kind of thing. Generals will say that, if you want peace, you got to prepare for war. A couple quick points. I think I mentioned the other day on Orville, but I'm going to mention it. I'm way over the 10,000 views mark. So I did get approved by YouTube. I'm not sure on the process of getting the monetization, how long it takes, that kind of thing, when the pennies will start rolling in. And I'm actually just over 100 subs now. Also, if you're new here, don't forget, hit subscribe. Hit the bell if you want notifications. Right now I'm posting Thursdays and Sundays. I still may have a Tuesday post, but let's carry on with review. First thing I want to say, I'm really confused with this episode because I was just trying to get my thoughts together. I made some notes, and part of me is just like, okay, so the story started up this way, and then we're talking with Stamets, and then we're doing this, and there's the cloaking thing, and then the guys are on an away mission, and then Saru goes nuts again, and just that's what's going. That's what's going through my head right now. So again, this will be spoilerish. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I may do a slight bit of a storyline thing just to keep things in perspective. Again, this wasn't a bad episode, but I found little holes here and there. Okay, well, let's just start off with, which I found was weird this week too. Again, we're starting off with the recap, which I think is weird because I'm on the Facebook groups, and these guys are like totally into it. And between episode to episode, the whole week, it's all conjecture and everything else. So we're not forgetting what happened before. The other day too, I just heard somebody say, "Oh, where did the Tribble go? What's happening with Admiral Cornwall?" These kind of things. So people are not forgetting stuff. So why do we need the recap at the beginning? What they should do, like most shows do, you do a bit of a teaser, hook us into the episode. Okay, here's what's going on, and then roll the opening credits, and then come back. And the episode does start off with a fight, so we're jumping right into it. One of our ships is under attack by a bunch of Klingons. Don't know the numbers yet. I think by the time the fight gets coming along, we're talking like 6 ships. So many birds of prey. Heavy destroyer comes out of nowhere. And the point of the battle is the guys are using their cloaks left and right. The captain of the ship in question that's being attacked puts out a distress call. Discovery pops out of nowhere. Okay, Captain so-and-so, it's me, it's Lorca, I'm here to help you, and pew, 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 and away we go. And it's interesting the way they coordinate the battle is, and I noticed too, that it's a little bit brightly lit, more so on the bridge than normal, even though Lorca's got his photosensitivity issues. So they're just trying to lock on whatever, and it's coming up to the point like, yeah, we can't lock on it because they cloak, but what's really weird is these guys cloak really fast. Think about all the other times you've ever seen a cloak. The cloak is like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, cloak. Or coming out of the cloak takes time. But these guys are like flying along, shoot, 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 pew, 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 cloak, run away, circle around, uncloak. So the cloaking is like really, really fast than we're used to. The other thing, again, my cannon ship was on for half a second. I was just thinking about it was the thing with the cloaks. But the first time we ever saw cloaks was Balance of Terror in the original series. And then later on, again, you don't see it again until Enterprise Incident. And we don't see Klingons cloaked and Bird of Prey until Search for Spock, as far as I know. And then you see them later on, Next Generation. That was really throwing me now. And of course, I'm putting it off to the side. But yeah, I thought that was a really weird thing with the cloaks and how fast the cloaks were working. Punchline of the fight was it didn't work out. Too many ships. They can't lock onto them. They lost the ship that was in distress. Lorca says, yeah, we got to get out of here. We cut back. We get to see the first time Stamets in the engine room in the spore drive little cubicle. And you see him, he's lying back. He's got his arms out. I saw there was a shot for that. See how his little gizmos work on his forearms. They little pop out and little things come out. And then so the little injectors can go into his forearms till he's at the controls. They're saying, yep, we're ready to go. They load the spores. He's ready to go. He's leaning back, going, yep, ready to go. And after this particular jump, Stamets comes out of the cubicle. He's all disengaged. He looks a little shakier than normal. He's got a bit of a headache. And teams out for half a second, looks over to Tilly, and it's like, Captain, what are you doing here? And then she's just like, it's me, Tilly. Captain, really? Because, she's working to become captain. So it's almost like a bit of like future foreshadowing. Stamets is doing his little spore thing that maybe he can see, maybe he's can see future events, or maybe it's a timeline thing. Somebody asked this the other day in the groups. Someone was asking if there's going to be time travel involved, and I said, we've only seen interspatial jumps with the spore drive, so we don't know if we're going to get into time travel with the spore drive. We'll never know, or maybe it will be down the road. We've still got a long way to go. Show has been renewed, so all sorts of things could happen. After he says to her, Captain Tilly, and she's like, what? And he right away, somebody snaps back into asshole Stamets, and just like, what are you talking about, cadet? He gets all like that. And she's like, what? Dude, you've been like chill for the last 2 episodes, and all of a sudden now you're back to your old self. What's up with that? Oh yeah, then it cuts back to, I might get the orders of the story. Basically, then Lorca's ended up talking to the Admiralty, he's talking to the Black Vulcan about what's going on, and they're trying to figure out a way how to beat these invisible ships. And they said, 18 hours ago, we dropped off an away team down in a place called Pavo, and then we cut back to the planet to see it's Tyler, Michael, and Saru. And I thought about it after too. We never understand why, other than there's something on this planet that can help them defeat the cloaking technology, but we don't say what we're going to find on the planet. And the planet itself is sort of like, I felt it was a combination of a force planet, like in Star Wars, because Saru is going like, it feels like everything's in tune with everything. And I thought, oh yeah, it's like the force. You can feel the force running through everything. You got a bit of an Avatar thing going on with these little will-o'-the-wisp and these little blinky lights floating around. So it's like, okay, this is a funky planet. And then we find out later on the planet is actually a living creature of sorts, I guess. It's sort of like an entire ecosystem that sort of thrives on itself. Again, these sort of, will-o'-the-wisp beings. They're corporeal. We don't know what they are, if they're a life form or not. There's also the first time mention again, too. We're getting actually lots of nods. First time mention to the Prime Directive. Tyler goes, oh, Prime Directive stuff, because Saru wants to do first contact. And then we touch base, in case you forgot about what the Prime Directive was. Then Tyler says, hey, this is a Prime Directive thing. And then Michael says, like, no. Prime Directive only protects, pre-warp civilizations from us revealing ourselves, like who we really are. If the natives kind of know what we are, what we're about, then that sort of drops down to first contact. And that's where the confusion is. So parts of the story seem to be okay, and other parts of it seem like disjointed. Like, okay, we don't really know why the guys are on the planet, other than there may be something they can find to defeat the Klingons and their cloaking technology. We don't really say why Stamets went like this, other than later on Tilly talks to him in the mess hall, and he's just like, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. And she's just like, oh, come on. And it's like, used to be like this, and now you're like that. Then he says, okay, well, when I first came out, sometimes I feel like my old self again, and sometimes I don't, so I don't know what is going on. But I don't want to talk to Dr. Hugh, because if something happens, then I might get in trouble. I might be removed from my duties. But if I do tell Hugh and he keeps it to himself, he may get in trouble with Starfleet Medical, because he knows there's, a possible... it's the whole thing, like if he's sick for duty, then Stamets can't do his job, and there's this whole circle of hiding things and that sort of thing that he wants to sort of keep off the table. So Tilly said, okay, we'll keep an eye on you, and we'll go from there. We find out more about Saru, that we know that he's been raised to detect death. He was prey, not a predator. And things like that. So you find a little bit more about him, and also that he has heightened senses. Supposedly, oh yes, we also get a personal log from Michael again, talking about the planet, and then because of this attunement of how the whole planet is, there's supposedly a natural sound, as everything has a resonance, and creates this actual musical sound as you're walking along. And that actually made me think back to the Cage pilot, where they're walking along and there was these like little leaves that were shaking. If you touch them, they'd stop humming or making their little noises. We're getting all these nods. We're getting, a nod to the Prime Directive. We're getting later on, there's a nod to the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. There's also, we're trying to develop again the Tyler-Michael relationship. They get to finally kiss, which is good. But again, part of me went like, okay, you're in the middle of a dangerous situation. You have so many hours to get to sort of natural structure that we see later on. That's some kind of a natural transmitter. It just basically looks like when we see it later on, it looks like a half tree, half crystalline sort of formation that stretches up into the sky. And they're going to try to get to that. They figured, oh, if we can use this and the harmonics and this sort of musical force, use it as a sonar to detect Klingons. Also part of the story too, we go back to, we're actually on Call's ship, and this is where they're keeping Admiral Cornwall, and L'Rell goes into the Admiral's cell, and she's like, screams. And I thought like, oh, you gotta scream for me like Sabretooth did with Storm and X-Men. I got a lot of movies in my head all the time. Everything keeps drawing back on something else. And she's just like, scream. And they both start screaming, and then the guard walks away. And I guess that was to say like, oh, she really is in pain. The guard doesn't hang outside the door and walks away. L'Rell goes into this whole spiel about, yeah, I've lost everything. I've lost my boyfriend. I've lost this. I like that. I really hate coal. And I'm really getting mad at the whole system, and no one seems to appreciate me. I want to defect. And I'm just like, what? What's going on? Is this going to be some kind of a weird plan again, too? Of like, oh, I really want to plan. I really want to defect. You're going to take me back to your ship, right? And that's the other part of the confusion, too, because it sort of goes like, okay, did they devise some kind of escape plan? Because the next time we come back to the Klingon ship, L'Rell is escorting the Admiral. Said, okay, my ship's parked out in back, and we'll go sneak on there, whatever. And then somehow Cole and one of his bodyguards is with him, and they say, hey, what's the prisoner doing out? Oh, and there's a fight in the hall between the Admiral and fighting. Smacks the Admiral against the wall. Admiral goes down unconscious, drags her away. And then we end up, this looks like a storage room where there's the sarcophaguses and stuff, but then L'Rell's finding all these old friends of hers that are dead and obviously not decomposed, lying about in the room. And she leaves the Admiral behind and then says, that's it, I'm going to go after Call. I'm going to blow up the ship, damn it, I'm going to do all sorts of stuff. And then it got weird after too, because when she does confront Call later on, she's like, goes down on her knees, and I thought like, now she's going to side with the guy again? What's going on? And he takes his little face paint and his war paint. And she does that, but then after he puts the war paint on her, he says to his guys, yeah, show her what we do with liars and whatever else, and drags her away. And then in the forums, it's like, what the heck? What happened to the Admiral? Why is the Admiral still in the storage room? What's happened with L'Rell? And I'm just, yeah, no conclusions here. This whole episode is everybody lying to everybody. Stamets lies to Tilly. L'Rell lies to Cole lies to this, and now Saru is lying to Michael and Tyler about stuff, and then later on Tyler lies to Saru. This is a really, and I don't know, it's just me if I can't focus on that, but yeah, was a really bizarre kind of an episode. It was interesting, sci-fi kind of thing. I was still thinking it too. It still doesn't feel like Trek to me. It's a sci-fi show, yeah, but no Trekishness in my mind. What I've gone through all the different, variations of Trek, it still doesn't feel like Trek to me. And then also too, we don't end off the episode. It's actually left as a cliffhanger, and it's also too, there was no to be continued. We know this is, one episode after the other, like watching 24. It's not like Orville, which is episodic. The Harry Mudd episode before too ended with, him leaving the ship and everything's back to normal, and then we carry on. This was kind of left hanging with, so yeah, that felt kind of weird too, how the episode kind of ended. Again, we'll put it back to you, dear viewer. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think? Leave your comments down below, like you know how to do. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. Don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the bell, and see you in the next one.